You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. So we are going to keep following throughout the next several weeks all of the draft declarations as the LSU football season, the college football season, will come to a close officially on Monday with the national championship game with Alabama and Georgia. But for LSU, the season's over, so the draft declarations have begun. Some of them before the bowl game. Ed Ingram is the latest to declare. He posted on social media earlier today a note thanking LSU fans for welcoming him, for sticking with him, and announced that he is declaring for the draft, and he'll continue to represent LSU throughout the years. So Ed Ingram, big number 70, he's off to the NFL draft. His career is an interesting one. And last year when Ed Ingram, I'm going to say a lot of the same stuff right now that I said a year ago about Ed Ingram, when he made the announcement he was returning for a fifth season. Ed Ingram started 12 games as a freshman, true freshman in 2017. He missed all of 2018, you might remember, because of a legal issue, where we later learned he was falsely accused and charges were dropped. He was able to return for part of the 2019 season and did start 3 times in that season. Played in 12 games, started 3. Of course, split time there, I believe, with Adrian McGee. But made 35 career starts in 43 games. He started 21 games over the past 2 seasons for LSU. Was there in the COVID season, could have left after last year. And the point I made then was, listen, for a guy who was that highly regarded, a guy who was that highly thought of coming out of high school and as a draftable prospect, to have lost the entire 2018 season, he could have left after 2019. He could have. Played in 12 games, certainly physically had tape out there from his freshman year, and then in 2019, he could have left. Ed Ingram could have. He could have left after 2019, gone off to the draft, but despite having a year taken away from him because he was falsely accused of something he did not do, he still decided to come back in 2020. And with COVID, it was a miserable season. Certainly then could have tapped out and said, look, man, I was fortunate enough to get back for the Natty, but this has been a lot of ups and downs. I'm going to go off to the league. Wanted one more year. Came back this season, new offensive line coach. First half of the season was miserable for the entire offensive line. They started to hit their stride. Ed Ingram started looking like Ed Ingram again, and now he's off to the draft after 5 seasons. He could have taken advantage of the COVID year and come back for a 6th season, but ultimately decided that after year 5, he's going to go off to the draft, and I can't say that I blame him at all. For his future, with the benefit of hindsight, maybe he should have left after 2019. That might have been the best time for him to go then. But he came back 2 more seasons at LSU, the definition of perseverance and all the things that you'd want in a football player, and certainly a very skilled, talented player as well. So I wish Ed Ingram nothing but the best. Candidly, he's always been very agreeable, very kind, personable. Every interaction I've ever had with him, on air and off, I'm an Ed Ingram fan. I've gotten to speak at several LSU classes during different semesters, and Ed's been a student in several of those classes, always engaged. He's come to talk to me after each time. Maybe has a career in media at some point if he wants it. He just a great guy that's going to represent LSU well forever. And that's a guy that everyone should cheer for, because he has endured a lot in his college career to spend 5 years in Baton Rouge and also to be a part of a national championship team. So, but Ed Ingram leaving with Liam Shanahan gone, Austin Deculus gone as well. We don't know yet officially what Chasen Hines is going to do. This has been a little bit of a point of question, because Chasen Hines had previously been announced as a participant in the NFL Players Association Bowl. And I guess the strange thing there is, if you're going to participate in one of those all-star games for the scouts, you typically do that because you are preparing for the draft. So Chasen Hines has already been announced to the Nflpa Collegiate Bowl. And so that led everyone to believe that he was leaving LSU. Well, yesterday, or on Thursday, Chasen Hines tweeted that he doesn't know where the rumors have started, but he hasn't made any decision at all. So still no word yet from Chasen Hines on what his future may be, but he seems to have said, I don't know where the rumors came from, but I haven't announced anything nor declared for the NFL. Nothing official at the moment. So there's at least a possibility that you could get Chasen Hines back. And the one starter who appears like he's going to return for certain is Cam Wire at left tackle. So when you kind of take, take account of where LSU is with respect to the offensive line, a year ago at this time, they got a big boost with everybody returning. Deculus and Ingram and Shanahan. And when they all announced they were coming back, everyone was sort of elated. But you remember, I said this all offseason, all summer. This was my go-to line. I said it so many times, it proved to be correct, but you all were probably nauseated hearing it. Just because you get everybody back from a unit that wasn't very good doesn't mean you're automatically better. I said that a bajillion times during the summer, and this was not a good unit this year. So you're losing a ton of experience. You're losing a lot of guys who started a lot of games, including a guy who played more games than any in the history of the program in Austin Deculus. But that was a unit that for half of this season didn't perform very well. They were much maligned. You had injury issues. Dare Rosenthal obviously was gone to Kentucky. You had injury issues and eligibility issues across the line, but you did get a lot of guys playing time. Anthony Bradford, Marlon Martinez, Xavier Hill, Garrett Dellinger. You played a lot of guys this year on that offensive line. So you're losing a ton of experience, but you're trying to stockpile numbers, get guys who got their feet wet this year to make that leap into being starters, and then also to supplement through the transfer portal. So if you take account right now, you know that at least it appears as of now that you're going to have Cam Wire and a big question mark on Chasen Hines. But I'm going to go ahead and assume Chasen Hines won't be back. I don't know that, but let's just leave it as a question mark. Marlon Martinez was kind of a surprise. He was a 3-star that when you needed that rotational piece this year, he was the guy that they leaned on. Made 3 starts this season. We all know about Cardell Thomas and the journey he's taken. He's entering his 4th year. He's only made 1 start, played in 5 games. Bradford is the one that people are really optimistic about. Ed Ogeron lauded him. He's maybe your really best option as a physical interior lineman who also played some tackle. Started 5 games this season for LSU. Xavier Hill started a couple of times this year. That's another 3-star that sort of forced his way into the rotation. Charles Turner. He's made 1 start in his career. It was actually a tackle, but he's a guy that could play center for you. And you got guys like Thomas Perry and Kimo Makaneoli, who haven't played much. Perry's played in 2 games. Kimo Makaneoli has not played at all. He was a freshman this year. And then you add Emory Jones, Fitzgerald West, Bo Bordelon, and of course the 5-star Will Campbell, and Miles Frazier, the transfer in from FIU. So you look at the offensive line going into this coming season. I should also mention Garrett Dellinger. Forgive me, I left Garrett Dellinger off as well. So you go into this year with 11 guys, and then you're also looking at, let's see, Hines is a question, so I won't include him. But if you start with, let's see, Martinez, Thomas, Bradford, Hill, Dellinger, that's 5. You got the 4 signees, Jones, West, Campbell, Bordelon, that's 9. Turner, Makaneoli, Perry, that's 12. And then Wire as well, that's 13. And then you add Miles Frazier, that's 14. You're almost to where you want to be, which is around 15 scholarship linemen. You have numbers there. And I could even look at the starters and say, okay, Frazier's probably going to be a starter at 1 tackle. Let's assume he's the starter at right tackle, provided Cam Wire is back. Well, you've got Wire at 1 tackle, Frazier at another. Bradford and Dellinger theoretically could be your starting guards. Guys like Martinez and Hill have played some good ball for you as well. You need a center, and maybe that's Charles Turner, and it's his time to step up, just like you had with Lloyd Cushenberry a few years ago, where he came in as that low-rated 3-star or 2-star, bided his time, waited his turn. It looked like Chasen Hines was going to be the starting center. Well, he couldn't get the shotgun snap down. And so, man, they gave it a go, and you saw Lloyd Cushenberry step in and win that job and not give it up for 2 years, and became a mid-round pick in the NFL draft and a starter as a rookie. And it was a 2-year starter in the NFL for the Broncos. So sometimes you see that. The guy who, when it's finally his turn, takes that big step, and maybe that's Charles Turner, or maybe they go into the portal this year to get a starting center if they can find one. But the bottom line with the offensive line is, yes, you're losing a ton of experience. Guys that have played a lot of games for you over the last 4, and in some cases 5 years. That's also a unit that didn't play at a particularly high level for the bulk of this season. And you have numbers behind them. And you got to believe that somewhere among those numbers, you're going to find your starting 5 that are going to establish themselves. And then rotational guys behind them who've gotten a lot of experience also. Go hit the portal to see if you can maybe find a starting center or someone that can challenge Charles Turner at that spot. But that really feels like it's the only piece that you got to have right now, because you have enough guys that are going to battle for those other 4 spots on the offensive line in spring and then into the fall. I know we've talked about it before, but Brian Kelly, one of the cornerstones of what he was able to build at Notre Dame were solid offensive lines. And boy, did they churn out major prospects into the NFL draft who have become cornerstone pieces of offensive lines in the NFL. And you know the list. Now he's going to try to do it starting in year 1 with a new crop of starters at LSU. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.